Again, Democratic Congressman Adam Smith from the state of Washington. He's also a ranking member for the House Armed Services Committee. Thank you so much for coming on here, Sunday Report. The government shutdown is now in its 43rd day. TSA workers still not getting paid. Lines at the airports are getting worse. ICE agents are now going to be moving into the airports to help with security. Here's what Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said. Watch.
The last thing that the American people need are for untrained ICE agents to be deployed at airports all across the country, potentially to brutalize or in some instances kill them. We've already seen how ICE conducts itself. These are untrained individuals when it comes to doing the current job that they have.
All right, so there's Hakeem Jeffries. Congressman, what's your take on this situation? Why won't the Democrats move forward and fund DHS?
Well, we have put on the table for quite some time now funding everything in DHS but ICE. In fact, there was votes in the Senate. We have a discharge petition in the House. If the Republicans wanted to solve the problem with TSA agents, they could have done it, gosh, weeks ago. That bill's on the table. We all support it, and it would be funded, and we wouldn't have this problem. So, I mean, that's our biggest take on it. Now, when it comes to ICE, yeah, we want reforms. What we saw in Minneapolis, but what we've seen across the country, ICE, not paying any attention to probable cause, due process, violating Americans' rights, going into homes without warrants, snatching people off the streets and detaining them for weeks on end without due process. We want that fixed. But there's a very simple solution to this problem. Vote for the bill that we've been asking for weeks now that would fund everything in DHS but ICE, and apparently ICE also has money from the reconciliation bill last year, and then we could get down to focusing on how to reform ICE. But the Republicans have refused to allow that.
Well, I mean, the criticism right now is that the Democrats are putting public safety over politics right now. I mean, you've got.
Did you not hear what I just said? Did you not hear what I just said? I mean, we have an offer on the table. We're willing to vote to do all that stuff, and the Republicans have chosen not to give us the vote on that. So no, we're not putting anything over that safety. We want to fund it. As I said, there's a discharge petition in the House right now, since House Republicans won't allow a vote on the bill, to fund everything fully except for ICE and move forward. So no, I don't agree that we're putting anything above that security. We want to get it done. We want to have that vote in the House, and I hope Speaker Johnson allows us to have that vote.
Do you think that putting ICE agents in the airport is the right solution right now, given that TSA agents are calling out, some of them are quitting, and it's a major issue for Americans that are trying to travel right now? Do you agree with what the president has done to help in this situation, as it seems to be getting worse?
Yeah, well, thus far, he hasn't done it. He's only threatened to do it. No, I don't think putting untrained people into the airport is a reasonable solution. Yeah, I don't know that ICE agents would know what they were doing in there. Now, presumably, they would be going into the airport not to do immigration enforcement, to help TSA with whatever they do. I think it is an incredibly risky.
According to the border czar, what they will be doing is they're not going to be scanning the baggage. These ICE agents are going to be providing security. So that would allow the current TSA agents to now move to scan the baggage. So there's basically holding up holding the line there for security.
They need to know what providing security means exactly. That could run a whole lot of ways. So we need to figure that out. But again, there's a very simple solution here that I hope we take. And that we fund these things, and we take the vote on the appropriations bills, on the funding package for DHS. The Democrats, again, have been proposing for, I think, over a month now.
Want to get your take, too, Mark Wayne Mullen. Do you believe he's the right man for the job?
Look, it's not a matter so much of who the individual is. Mark Wayne and I worked together in the House. We had a couple of issues we worked together very closely on. He's been reasonable with me, and I get along with him just fine. It's really a matter of what policies come down from the president and Stephen Miller. Yes, Kristi Noem had a particularly noxious way of explaining her job, but the policies that she was putting in place were being put in place by Donald Trump. And look, we all kind of had a consensus after the last election that we needed more border security and that we needed to make sure that undocumented immigrants, illegal immigrants who were in the country and who were criminals, needed to be targeted. Instead, what President Trump did is he went out and targeted absolutely everybody. I mean, they're pulling citizens off the street in some cases and locking them up for extended periods of time. Those policies need to be changed, regardless of who it is who's implementing them.
What would you like to see change with ICE? I mean, we talk about, it needs to reform. They need this. They don't like what happened in Minnesota. Agreed. That was a situation that shouldn't have happened the way it did. What reforms, sir, would you like to see?
Well, first of all, you have to have a warrant to go barging into people's homes or private property. I think you should specifically target people with a criminal record as the priority. You should work with local law enforcement, not come in over the top of them. Yes, I think you should have to identify yourself as an ICE agent. And also, I would like to see training improve dramatically for ICE agents. They massively increased the number of ICE agents that they hired.
Right.
And the reports on the training are that this is slapdash and away you go. So I'd like to see a change in the rules of engagement and the training and those other things that I mentioned. I think it's pretty reasonable stuff that most Americans support.
I just want to follow up on you said that the ICE would work with local law enforcement, but that was the problem in Minnesota, is that they were not willing to work with ICE. And the mayor made that very clear, and so did the governor.
Yeah, well, if ICE comes in and says we're going to go barging into schools, and daycares, and hospitals, and you need to let us do that, I mean, I think it's a two-way street. And look, I won't disagree with you that there are jurisdictions out there that have blocked ICE at every corner, certainly. And it's both sides need to be willing to work together. But President Trump's approach, and we've seen it with the way he's used the National Guard in bringing them in, whether the states wanted them or not. So I think we need to see something from ICE and from the president where they're willing to work with local law enforcement just as much as we need to see it the other way also.
Want to get your take here on what's happening in Iran right now. You've made your position very clear, the war in Iran, saying that the military is not the solution to the challenges in Iran since the operation of Epic Fury started. Do you still feel that way? And do you think that now the weakened regime, the Iranian regime, do you believe that do you support the president continuing on with this operation, knowing that we've now had 4 terrorist attacks here on the homeland?
Yeah, no, I don't support the president going forward with this operation. I think the way it's played out in the 3+ weeks now it's been going on is just borne out exactly what I said, which is, first of all, the cost is enormously high. We're seeing that with the impact on the global economy. We've lost 13 service members killed in this war. Hundreds, I think over thousands, civilians have been killed. Massive disruption. Your previous segment outlined it fairly well, how much it's driving up gas prices and undermining the global economy. And then the other question also brought up in your previous segment is the Iranian regime can be weakened without question. And I think this campaign has weakened them. But weakening them is not enough if you want to get to that 50 years of peace. You need to have the regime gone. And my argument was we simply weren't capable of doing that if we weren't willing to put 100,000 or so troops on the ground in Iran. And we weren't, and we aren't. And I'm not even sure that would work. And the cost of that would be enormous. So the Iranian regime is in too deep to get them out by dropping a bunch of bombs. You drop a bunch of bombs, you start a full-scale Middle East war. You weaken Iran a little bit, but when it's all said and done, they're still there, and you've really, really cost the global economy, everything I just said. The cost outweighs the benefit is my basic argument.
We are certainly seeing the cost of the toll clearly on our service members as well. We saw that. But we will wait to see what happens next. We know President Trump wants to end this, and he's given them an ultimatum here. Congressman Adam Smith, always a pleasure. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah. Thank you for the chance.
All right. Let's continue this conversation. I want to bring in our panel.